Hi villagers. Today I am pre-filming ahead of schedule for a video with a very old school friend of mine, and we decided last night while we were checking the time and all the rest of it that we haven't actually seen each other since we were 16, and I think he looks like he did when he was 16, and according to my French teacher who knew us both, I look like my 12-year-old self. So I think given that we're Facebook friends, we should recognise each other, but hopefully you will enjoy this experience of chatting with Ben. Ben has some TV experience, which I'm hoping he will talk about. He did a very small segment on a police drama in the UK. He's just written a book, which I have a copy of. I must confess, I haven't read it yet. It's in my things to read pile. It is a youth fiction. I'm hoping he will talk about why he wrote young adult fiction rather than adult boy fiction. It's quite boy-y. I read the first couple of pages one night when Charlotte had been poorly and wanted something to read to help her go off to sleep. And it's not suitable, at least the first couple of pages were not suitable for reading just before you go to sleep, especially if you were 12 and had been poorly in the night. So I will provide all the links to Ben's website and how to order a copy of his book. He has wonderful reviews. It's written about a 13-year-old boy called Luke Stevens. And I imagine it will probably be one of a series, but we'll find out when we talk to Ben.
Hello.
Yay!
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
We got there in the end.
We got there
It's nice
in
to
the
see
end.
you.
And you. Yes. You and I fit the category of look like our 12-year-old selves.
100%. I was invited to a reunion, and I couldn't make it. I saw some photographs, and thankfully, everyone was wearing these big name tags. I was looking at even with the name tag, a lot of people. I was like, I don't remember you. I don't remember your name. That was a lot bigger than Paul School. So that I don't think that would be as bad. But
no.
Yeah, if we have a Paul School one, name tags.
Definitely. I think that might be on the horizon, because obviously this is our don't tell anybody, but 30 year of leaving school, which is a bit scary, really. I don't quite know where that time's gone, but yeah. We obviously look like our 12-year-old self, so it's okay.
Of course, yeah. Although, to be fair, we both have a bit of silver going on.
We do,
so.
Yes. Well, I've let mine out. I'm 4 weeks ahead of lockdown with my growing out of hair that people did because they couldn't get to the hairdressers or whatever. It's all natural now.
I shaved mine during lockdown. We were so bored at one point. I said to the kids, "Do you just want to shave my head?" It needed cutting, so we got some clippers in, and they both butchered me with these clippers, and it was fine. So I was like that for 6 months or so, just because it was easier.
Yeah.
You adapt, don't you? Do what you have to do. We haven't got any doors actually at the moment upstairs. We had the carpets put in, and first thing the fitters said was, this new carpet with the underlay we've got, your doors can't close. The doors are going to have to come off. So we said to the guy, well, we've got no choice. You've got to take them down. We need the carpet more than we need the doors. And we were planning on having new doors anyway. But they, the carpet people didn't need to know that. So I don't know if you can see there.
Oh, lovely.
I'm in my son's bedroom. So upstairs, we are lucky. We've got one bathroom that didn't need a carpet. So that has its door, but all of our bedrooms, no doors. So privacy is out the window at the moment.
Sounds like it. And then this is the third time now, isn't it, that we've attempted to do this. But actually, we're still filming in advance of when the video will go live, so it's not a problem.
You've got yourself a YouTube channel, is that right?
I have, yes. Well, I've been thinking about it for a long time, and the plan is a sort of 5-week schedule of different topics. And one of the weeks is interesting people I have met, because I have lived in about 6 different places since I left Cornwall, and I've met all sorts of interesting people who have all sorts of interesting things to contribute. and this seemed like an ideal way of being able to do it without having to physically meet you in the pub or travel to America and interview. My previous person to you is a homeschooling mum, and I thought it was such an interesting experience to talk about that other people should benefit from having met you.
I've only been to Nottingham once and loved it. I went to Rock City.
My husband used to like it there.
Yeah, a band, a Norwegian rock band from Eurovision 2005.
Right.
It's so random. They entered Eurovision 2005. They ended up coming ninth.
Oh.
With a really cool song. I'm old rocker, and it was a proper rock song with a key change at the end. Like Living on a Prayer. Just yeah, and I loved it. And so I started researching them and found out they were playing Rock City the next year. I think it was. They got a bit of a fan base from Eurovision, and I won tickets to meet them as well with my wife in Rock City. So we saw the gig, which was amazing, and then afterwards we went backstage, about 4 of us, and just had a really nice chat with them. They were so chilled and so cool. And recently they've become a lot more famous because, have you heard of I don't know which channel it's on, but it's a TV show called Peacemaker with John Cena. It's DC, so it's not Marvel, it's DC, and it's for grown-ups. It's very violent, very sweary.
It's not going to appeal to me then.
Okay, right. Maybe your husband, possibly.
Yes, probably.
But it's it's on Sky, I think, or it was on Sky. But the first series came out, and it was massive. And they provided the theme tune to it, one of their songs. There's a dance as well that John Cena and the cast, they do this disco-style dance to a rock song, and it just completely took off and catapulted Wigwam into this other stratosphere of popularity. And they've ended up touring America, touring Australia. It's
funny how that happens, isn't it? Just because
Absolutely.
You had the theme tune to something completely different, like the woman who's done the theme tune that Stranger Things have now nicked. She's now famous again because she has a completely new fan base who are all Stranger Things fans who go, oh, this piece of music's quite nice. And, nobody realises how old, when you have children as young as we do, they have no concept that actually it's not a TikTok song. It's a song from when we were young or before even, and, been regurgitated.
I love it when those songs come on and you start singing along. They're like, how do you know this? Wow.
Because I'm magic.
I'm just a cool parent.
Yeah, on that basis, shall we start actually talking about what we were going to talk about? So, grab
I've
your book. Wave your book around, Ben.
Got my book, and I've got, hang on, yay! I've got some of my answers on here.
Mine's inscribed by the
Do you know what? That's going to be worth about £3. It'll be worth maybe the value you actually paid for it one day, although that's highly unlikely.
Well, up front, full disclosure, I haven't read it yet. It's in my pile.
Selfish.
I know, it's appalling, isn't it? How you'd asked for children to pre-read it, and I'd volunteered Charlotte, who wasn't remotely keen. So clearly it's not a pink girly book.
No,
because she is as pink and girly as they come. Ballet, dancing, and the rest of it. When you write a ballet book, she'll have it. It's in my pile. It's actually quite close to the top, so it'll be the next thing I read. So I'll provide you with...
I've seen on Goodreads, is it Tamsin Bramwell wants to read it or something like that?
I love Goodreads. I have been...
Oh, it's so handy, isn't it?
It is. If nothing else, it tells you all the things that all your friends are reading, which is quite useful, and also all the things that author has written as well, in case you didn't know, which is useful. Given that we're now all 46, it's taken me a long time to find what I like. Well, now I haven't got enough time to read enough stuff to get through all the vast quantity of audiobooks and physical books. I'm going to have to live a really, really long time.
Good luck. Do you use Fantastic Fiction at all? FantasticFiction.com?
No.
Just log on to it, type in your favourite author or an author you like reading, and it will give you their bibliography. And underneath that, it says viewers to this author's page also visited, and it just will list a ton of other authors of that same genre. So you can find brand new things there. So Fantastic Fiction. It's a brilliant website. I I'm on a revolving chair. Is that going to be really annoying? Because I feel myself. I know I'm doing this.
So where are you physically?
Morden, which is about 5 minutes from Wimbledon.
Oh.
So southwest London. On the tube map, Morden is the very bottom of the northern line.
Books. Here is my authored signed copy of Ben's book. Ben has a copy of Ben's book. Excellent.
I think you might have a slightly old version actually, because you were very kind. I think you got it fairly.
I did get it very early.
Promptly.
Yeah. So how did you get to a point where you wanted to write? Have you always wanted to write a book?
No, not really. I was writing film reviews. I remember seeing that. I was going to the cinema a lot. It was kind of my escape because looking after the two children full time was pretty full on, and my wife was very generous in saying, at the weekend, you've had a busy week, go and do what you want to do at the weekend. And I would often go to the cinema, and I was going so much. And a friend of mine said, just why don't you review films? You're a creative person, just start reviewing them, get your own website on the go and do that. And that's exactly what I did. And before I knew it, I was writing for a few online websites. And then it kind of got bigger and bigger. I was emailing production companies, Universal, Paramount, Warner Brothers. I was able to get on their mailing lists to be invited to media screenings of films, a couple of weeks in advance, which was, for someone that loves films, is just, what an opportunity.
Yeah.
Then you would have to write a review as well. You can't just go along for a jolly and enjoy the film. You do actually have to write the review, send it to them to say, look, this is what I thought. And it just took off from there. And then before I knew it, I was actually getting published in some magazines as well, more online magazines. So that was good. And then I was reading a book as well. I was reading fiction alongside that. And I remember reading one young adult book. I wish I could remember which one it was, but I can't. And I was so bored by it. I remember thinking, if this guy can get published, then maybe I can.
Yeah.
So that was when the first sort of ideas started filling my head. And then we went on as a family to the National Gallery up in London. I saw a painting of St. George and the Dragon by Jacopo Tintoretto, and just something about it caught my eye. So I was just staring at it and just thought, okay, there might be something here. Well, what was the last book I read that mentioned George and the Dragon? And I couldn't think of one. I know there's plenty out there, but one didn't spring to my mind that I'd read. So I bought a postcard size version of that painting and just took it home and did a bit of research on the painter. And then I just started writing things down. What if this dragon somehow managed to injure St. George and he became infected with some kind of power or so? And I just wrote loads of stuff down, most of it nonsense, most of it terrible. But in the end, I just kept going with it. I thought, maybe I've got something here. And before I knew it, I had a beginning, a middle and an end. And I actually had a book. Turned out I couldn't get published, so I had to self-publish.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Had you done it yourself?
Yeah, I was very, very naive and foolish and stupid, basically. I sent it off to literary agents. I'll be honest about this, because if anyone watching this is in a similar position, then they need to learn from my mistakes. The research I did about trying to get an agent, it said, don't send your letters off or your manuscript off until you're 100% satisfied with it. I was too impatient. I wasn't 100% satisfied with it, but I thought it was good enough. And I remember even one of them, this is just embarrassing to admit, but again, I will, because it might be helpful.
Yeah.
Autocorrect changed the spelling of Stevens, Luke Stevens, in the subject of my email, and I didn't notice. So everywhere else in the manuscript, the cover, it's Stevens. The autocorrect had changed it to Stephens, and that was in my subject. And I sent it, and then as soon as I'd sent it, I noticed, I saw, and it was just, I thought, that's just really unprofessional. I've spelt it wrong. In the subject matter, that's just ridiculous. And if I received that as an agent, alarm bells would ring. And then I would send them. I say, hey, please read this. It's the next big thing in middle grade literature. It's a fantastic adventure, etc., etc. And then I'd go back through the manuscript just looking at things, and I'd notice a tiny, like I'd missed out a comma, or I missed out an accent over someone's name, little things like that. And I was finding them regularly. And that was similar to what my son found, even 6 months after, when I really was 100% happy, like, done, I can relax now. Dad, you've done this. I was like, he's right. He's absolutely right. So I got lots of rejections. I also didn't hear back from a lot of agents as well. You just don't. And it's incredibly frustrating. You have to jump through hoops for them. Some want 3,000 words, the first 3,000 words. Some want the first 5,000. Some want the first 10,000. Others want 500. Oh. So you always have to tailor your Word documents or PDFs for them. And that's a bit of a hassle as well. So that's quite time consuming. And they always cover themselves by saying, yes, so it's they cover themselves. The agents cover themselves by saying, if you haven't heard within 12 weeks, then it means we're not interested. Yeah. Okay, fine. I just wish it was a bit more humanized. Even a standard response, it could be 2 lines. Read your book, not for me. Thanks very much anyway. Best of luck. But you just don't get that. So the way forward, I thought, was to self-publish via Amazon. And I'm friends with a best-selling children's author. His name is Carl Ashmore, and he's written a fantastic series of books called The Time Hunters. And they are brilliant books for children and adults as well. They're just full of adventure, love, action. They're so lovely and based on myth as well. And he was his advice to me was just invaluable. He was fantastic, really, really helpful. And it's his job now. He's a full-time writer. He's making his living from self-publishing. Yeah, so that's how I did it. I self-published via Amazon Kindle. A little bit tricky to work out, but with a bit of help from him and using the internet, Dr. Google, I was able to get it out there.
Excellent. Are there plans for any more?
Yeah, I'd like to do a trilogy if I can.
Of this, or a trilogy unto itself?
No, a trilogy of this, although if my ideas don't stretch that far, then I could just write one more and conclude it there. I've written myself into a bit of a corner with, you'll see it when you get there, something happens at the end, and I'm not sure whether it was a good idea to write it or not. I think it was, because I've been contacted by people saying that the ending, their jaws hit the floor, so that's good. It got the reaction I wanted, I suppose.
I'm looking forward to that.
But it does, I don't know. I need to buckle down and start writing it. I've written about 5,000 words or so I've just got another 45,000 to go.
I was going to ask you about your writing process. Does it come to you all at once? Do you get glimmers of things? How do you? Do you just sit down and today I'm going to write this bit?
Yes and no. Sometimes I just sit down. I haven't got any ideas in my head, but I just sit down with a blank Word document in front of me, and then just start typing. For example, the other day, I've already written, say, about 5,000 words, and that was going to be... Yeah, so I did have about 5,000 words, which was the opening, actually. But then the other day, I just sat down and had an idea, thinking about the Da Vinci Code, the Dan Brown book, and something just popped into my head. So I started writing, and before I knew it, I had a different opening of about 1,000 words, and it just came and it flowed, and it was really good. And I showed my wife, who really liked it, I showed my daughter, who really liked it, and I showed my brother, who really liked it. So they passed some tests. So now I don't know what to do with the 5,000 words I wrote originally, because I really, really, really like that. So I need to try and fit that in somehow. But the second one's tentatively called Luke Stevens and the Hunt for Excalibur, and the opening that I did write was all about King Arthur and Merlin. They make an appearance. It's all set back in, several hundred years ago. But the one I just wrote was set present day. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But no, in answer to your question, no, there's no... If I can write about 500 words when I sit down to write, then I see that as a bonus.
Righto. So you have a 13-year-old, nearly, and a 9-year-old, you said?
Yes, that's right.
Just the two?
Yeah, oh yeah. Come on. For all the grey hairs, come on. Yeah.
And how long have you been married?
It will be 14 years in September, but we've been together 22 and a half, I think.
Oh, wow. Where did you meet?
At The Bill, the TV show, when I was in there. when I was on that.
How
yeah,
long
my
were
wife
you
was.
on?
She worked.
How long were
I was
you
there for
on
about
the
2
bill?
years.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I know this is going to make us both feel old, so sorry about that.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
2000 to 2002.
I've seen the footage of you in the bill, and it's like, I know him. I know him.
It's funny because I think it's always playing somewhere in the world, which is great, and so every now and then I get royalties from it.
Oh, fab.
And Drama Channel, one of the satellite channels, I think it's shown on Drama, maybe Alibi as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, quite often I just flick it on to see where they are, and they're either like 10 years before me or several years after me. But then every now and then they reset things for whatever reason, and my episodes come on. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'm going to get a little bit of cash in the post soon. There's quite a big show called Band of Brothers, which was Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks' TV show back in it was either 99 or 2000, and I had a very small part in there. About 5 auditions for it for 2 lines. Absolutely crazy. Well, it's funny that the first audition, they faxed through. They didn't email, they faxed.
We are old.
This really long script, and so I read it and got familiar with it and auditioned, and that was fine. Next audition, the script was slightly smaller, but it was still a decent size. Got familiar with that, did the audition, went well. Next audition, the script was even smaller, so you can see where this is going. Until finally my agent said that you got one more. This is the last time they're going to see you. So, and she faxed the script through, and I received it. And I phoned her back and said, "Are you joking?" She said, "No, that's it." And it was 1 line, which was fine. But I had to pretend I was a paratrooper on an aeroplane about to jump out and land somewhere in France. And am I allowed to swear?
Probably.
Will you bleep it?
No,
Can you bleep it?
Do you want me to bleep it?
Well, I had to shout, "We're too low, we're too low." So, and that was it.
And did you make it into the final version?
Oh, well, this is the thing. They said, "Can you do that again?" I was like, "Yeah, okay. I mean, I'll try and make it a little bit different just to mix it up a bit." So I might have put the emphasis on a different word, maybe. I can't remember. But that was that. And then I got a call a couple of weeks later from my agent saying, "Look, you're in Band of Brothers, but you're not doing that part." I was like, "Oh, okay." And she sent the part through that I was going to be doing, and I'd been slightly upgraded by about 6 or 7 words to something else. So in the end, I was booked for a week, and I went somewhere in Hertfordshire, and the good thing was my scene was with, now this should be a blast from your past, I assume you were a fan, but Donnie Wahlberg?
Oh,
come on, New
Yes,
Kids on the Block.
I recognise the name, but that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Donnie from New Kids, he'd become an actor, and he was the other actor in the scene, which was very cool. And so we had to speak in American accents, and obviously not proper for him being American, but we had to stay in our American accents off set as well. So I was just chatting to him about various things, New Kids on the Block, and the film The Sixth Sense that he's actually in as well. We're chatting about that. It was amazing. And we filmed this scene, and it was just an incredible experience. This battle was taking place. I had a squib built into this helmet I was wearing. So I say my lines, and the squib explodes, and blood and everything goes away, and I die. I get shot in the head. And they said, "Right, we've got two squibs, so you've only got 2 opportunities to get it right." And it doesn't sound like much with a couple of lines, but the pressure of a Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks produced show that you're in as a young actor, it was petrifying, but highly enjoyable as well. And there is actually one other actor in the scene that you can't quite see because of the way they filmed it, but it's an actor called Stephen Graham, who has done he's done so much. I most recently saw him as Matilda's dad in the musical film version of Matilda. He's done loads and loads and loads, and he was in a Guy Ritchie film called Snatch, and we were talking about that as well. So to be talking to these 2 big actors as a young actor, it was an absolutely incredible experience. My point for telling you this story is, the other day from Denmark, I got 30 quid for episodes of Band of Brothers my one episode of Band of Brothers being shown over in Denmark. 30 quid.
Random thing in the post. How lovely.
Very grateful for them coming in. I wish I knew more of how they broke it down. Some episodes of the bill where I'm like the featured actor, I might get £5 for. Other episodes where I just turn up and say, yes, Sarge, I might get 40 quid for. Random. No idea. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to gratefully accept it.
Yeah. So you met your wife as part of being on the bill?
Yeah, she was behind the scenes. She was, at the time, I think, a producer's assistant. There's 4 or 5 producers and she was their assistant. And she went from job to job until she went into publicity, and that's what she's still doing to this day. She's head of drama at one of the biggest agencies in London. She's absolutely flying there. So, met her after about 6. Well, I think I met her after a couple of months of being there. Then we started dating about 6 months after, and that was that.
Excellent. So, in your free time, you like the cinema. Presumably, you are a reader.
Yeah.
How did you end up reading young adult fiction, not grown-up boy fiction?
I read that as well, but I remember I think it started with Harry Potter. I remember. I think J.K. Rowling. We've got. I know she's hit the headlines for a number of reasons recently, but if you go back to what she did, back in the 90s, she's encouraged millions of not just children but adults to read, and that is an incredible achievement. And it is because my wife, long time ago, I was working on a job somewhere in London, and I said, I'm going to have a bit of free time, I need to do something. She said, well, read and try this book. And it was the first Harry Potter, and I just devoured it. I got so invested in it. And I ended up being one of those people that queued up at Waterstones at midnight for the new releases. And would never read them there and then. I'd go home, sleep, wake up early, 6 o'clock, and then just not leave the bed or the flat or the house or whatever, and just read it, so I could be one of the first to finish it. So yeah, that kind of brought. I know that the first couple of books are aimed at younger children, but they do get darker as they move on.
We are a Harry Potter household.
Okay, good. Yeah, so they are more middle grade, which is 10 to 15 as they go on, and so that helped. And then just going into bookshops and walking around and looking at covers. I do judge books by their cover. I know most people do. Yeah. And just seeing some like Alex Scarrow, he wrote a series of books called The Time Riders, and I love a bit of time travel. And I saw the cover, and it said something. The cover was great, but the blurb as well on the back, it was something like I can't remember his name. Someone such and such should have died on the Titanic in 1912. 1912, I think.
Don't know. We'll put a correction up in a minute.
Yeah. Just as he's about to, a mysterious figure appears and says, "Take my hand." And I was like, ooh, okay, what's this about? And it's basically a time traveller who is rescuing people from certain disastrous events because they are important to the future. And so, yeah, that was Alex Scarrow's books. He was one that really got me into it. And Carl Ashmore, who I mentioned earlier. So, yeah, and I think, a lot of these stories that I read, they are, might be aimed at children, but if an adult's reading them to children as well, then they've got to enjoy them too. And that was very much in my mind when I wrote my book. I wrote, it's a very self-indulgent book. It's full of gags that I find funny. Yeah. I don't really care if other people don't find them funny. Yeah, I will judge them if they don't find it funny, because they are funny. Proper dad gags, some of them.
Well, that's all right. You're a dad. You're allowed.
Exactly. So no, I wanted something that the grown-ups that might read the book to their children or their grandchildren or whatever, I wanted something for them to enjoy as well. So I very much wrote with everyone in mind, and I've had lots of very nice positive feedback from grown-ups saying, absolutely loved your book, couldn't put it down, thoroughly enjoyable, very funny, and my child loved it as well. Some people have been reading it as families as well, which is lovely to hear. So nice. Job done there.
Yeah, excellent. You are the next Harry Potter then.
Oh man, can you? Even if I had like 100th of her money. Woo!
Yeah.
I did exactly the same with my book. I cast it as well, and my God, the money. Oh, the budget would go on hiring these actors. Who did I put in there?
So go on then.
Emily Blunt.
Oh, of course.
Emily Blunt. Tom Courtenay. Helen Mirren. Judi Dench. They're all old people, aren't they?
It's cost you thousands already just by using the word
millions.
Helen Mirren and Judi Dench.
I'll send you. I put it on Facebook probably about 18 months ago, saying I've been having fun. Kenneth Branagh. Gotta have Kenneth Branagh. He's one of my favourite actors, and he'd be perfect for one of the parts. He could direct it as well, so maybe save a bit of money there, doubling up.
Excellent. Well, you've obviously thought these things through, Ben. It's very good.
Yep.
So clearly your celebrity dinner party would also include all of the above. Talk them into it. Who else are you having for dinner?
John Bon Jovi.
Of course. You will see why in a minute.
Yes, John Bon Jovi, Tom Hanks, who's my favourite actor.
Mine too.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yep.
My favourite director. Just the guy, his screenwriting. I don't know anyone that writes films like him. His dialogue just draws me in, and I find it fascinating. And the amount of scenes of his from films I just watched, and just you listen to the dialogue, it's just so perfect. And the way he casts his films as well, he's a genius when it comes to casting. I can rarely find fault with what he does. I just think it's just mesmerising, and there's not that many directors I can say that about. And I went to an evening with Tarantino not too long ago at the London Palladium, which was absolutely fascinating. He's just such an interesting guy. He's a complete nerd, in a good way. Absolutely fascinating. So I'd love to just have a little chat with him. I've got J.K. Rowling on the list for the dinner party. Again, I think the world that she created,
it's so detailed.
It's hard enough. Oh, it is. It is so detailed. Just things like Gringotts, Diagon Alley, Quidditch. These things individually are genius. Yeah. When you put them together as a whole, that wizarding world is astonishing. And they're the only books I've reread. When I read a book, I have no inclination to reread them. I just think, well, I've done that. I know what's coming. The Harry Potter books are the only books I've reread, and I think I've done that 4 or 5 times.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I get something new each time, and you see the little nuggets, the seeds that she planted. Things like the Ron and Hermione's romance. That it's planted all the way back in book 1. Little things. And I love that little details. And I got one other person on there, Liz Hurley.
You are a boy of your generation, then, aren't you?
Just purely superficial reasons. Yeah, I'm not even going to go into it.
Fair enough. What did you read as a child that stuck with you, and who is your favourite author? But we've covered authors, so you might not want to add any more.
I didn't really read as a child. Yeah, it came late to me. I remember I read Flat Stanley. Couldn't tell you who wrote it, though. Do you know Flat Stanley?
Not really.
I honestly can't remember reading books at all. Primary school, secondary school, nope. Not one bit. I probably did every now and then. For English, we must have done some reading. Thomas Hardy, The Sun's Veto. That's so random. Okay, Mrs. Preston's English class.
I remember Thomas Hardy. Dolce
The Sun's Veto.
The war poetry.
Yeah, just funny little things you remember. That I've not thought about that for 30 years.
It's funny, isn't it?
But my favourite author is an Australian guy called Matthew Riley. You would absolutely hate his book, I think.
Fair enough. I'm very vanilla when it comes to books.
The proper action, just ludicrous, preposterous action. And that's how I like my films. The Fast and Furious films, things like that, and Die Hard and all that nonsense. His books are like reading it.
Right. Clearly, we are not going to the cinema together. Is the short answer?
What's that?
We are not going to the cinema together.
No, sadly not. No.
And we're about 150 miles apart.
But I've met him a couple of times as well. He's such a nice, down-to-earth guy, and he's brilliant with his fans. Very patient and very kind. So yeah, and he's just directed his first feature film for Netflix as well, which is good. Which starred Chris Hemsworth's wife. I can't remember her name, but that was a 90-minute ridiculous action film, and it was a lot of fun as well.
Okay, let's do some quick ones. What job would you have been terrible at?
Doctor. I don't like needles. I don't like blood.
Yeah, nursing.
And ironically,
same for me. Yeah.
Right, my brother's a doctor, and how he does it.
Okay, you're standing in an ice cream shop. What flavour have you just bought?
Cherry and custard.
Ooh.
Right. Now, we went to Butlins not long ago, and there's this fancy ice cream shop, and they had cherry and custard on there, and I'd never seen it before, so I thought I'd try that. And, yeah, that is, it works. It really works.
I can imagine that would work in. So you're standing in a bookshop or the library. Which department are you standing in?
Thrillers. Straight to thrillers. Oh, yeah.
Go on then. What's the horse called, Ben?
John Bon Pony. Oh, yeah. John Bon Pony.
So yesterday, when I sent you a message to say, are we on today? Are the carpenters not banging around in your house? I did ask, are you and John Bon Pony available today? So clearly I knew the answer to that before we got there.
It was just going to be why the long face, but nah. John Bon Pony works
John
better.
Bon Pony, I like that. If you now write a memoir, what would it be called?
Well, I thought because of my time on a certain television show, The Bill and Ben.
Oh, lovely.
That's quite clever, isn't it?
It is quite clever. I'm going to have to try and find it on YouTube and post it with this video, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Bits with you in it. Right, so let's see, what else can we have? Pizza shop. What's on your pizza? Yes, let's have some water.
Pepperoni and chicken. Love a bit of pepperoni, love a bit of chicken. Maybe add some sweet corn on there and possibly some onions as well.
Oh, righto.
Yeah.
Do you speak any other language?
The language of love. Oh, God, no, that was awful. God.
We'll interview your wife
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, she'll look at me like, what? Yeah, edit that bit. No, sadly not. I wish I could. I'd love to either speak Italian or French. I think they're great languages. They sound so cool when spoken by genuine French or Italian people. They sound brilliant. Cornish would be interesting, wouldn't it? Get
yeah.
Mr. Knight, my old teacher from St. John's. He's one of the few Cornish speakers. I can remember Kurno Visviken, which apparently, I think, if I'm right, is Cornwall forever. That stuck in my mind for some reason. Weird.
You clearly quite like the idea of books with time travel in, so where would you go? If I could, magic you somewhere, where would you go?
I think I'd quite like to go back to the 50s and 60s and the start of rock and roll and Elvis and the Beatles, seeing them, at their height. Just can't imagine. I mean, it just changed, their music changed the world, and I think to be part of that, to witness it, would be quite incredible. I remember my dad told me once that he went to a Rolling Stones concert and he had to leave after 5 minutes because he couldn't hear a thing apart from screaming. It was full of women just screaming at the band. He said I saw them on stage. I knew they were playing because they were moving. Couldn't hear any of it, so he left. That was his experience with the Rolling Stones. I don't think he ever saw the Beatles, sadly, or Elvis. But I think that would be fascinating.
What makes you feel invincible?
I like it when my family are healthy and happy. When you just know that everyone's on good form, then I think it just automatically lifts you.
What is the best date you have ever been on?
Obviously, the first date with my wife.
Obviously, but
I think, I think, I can still remember it now. So it must have been good. We just went to the pub and had a few drinks. A pub near where the bill was filmed. And we just had a few drinks. I don't think we ate anything there. It's just some drinks and just chatted. And I knew pretty much from there that I was going to marry her.
Oh.
Oh yeah, completely, absolutely knew. from the first day, definitely. I don't think she thought that, but
fair enough. So you haven't been trying to write a book and work a day job too, by the sound of it?
No. Excuse me. No, I'm a full-time dad. Have been for 8 or 9 years now. I was working at Heathrow Airport in World Duty Free, just helping people buy whiskies, vodkas, gin, whatever, chocolate bars, sweets, giving them directions to the gate or whatever.
Yeah.
And we worked out that if I were to continue working there, they were long days. I would do double shifts, which was 12 hours, and I'd cram a week's worth of work into 3 days. And the commute was long as well. It was about an hour and 45 minutes each way. So I'd be up at 4 in the morning and come home at 11 at night. It wasn't ideal. We worked out that to pay for the cost of childcare, I'd have to work. I'd do one extra shift. So I'd be working about 50 hours a week and taking home £50 a month.
It becomes a nonsense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I stopped, and my wife continued. She went back to her job, and that's what I did. So I need to do something now, though. I think we're coming to an age where the children will both be at secondary school soon. I'll have a bit more time, and they'll have a bit more independence, because at the moment I'm still doing school runs, picking them up. There'll come a time when they both don't need me doing that, so I'll have more opportunity for a paid job. So I just need to figure out what to do, because I'm not trained in anything. I'm trained as an actor, so I'm sure there's lots of things I could do, but obviously it needs to be something that I want to do as well. So until Netflix come calling with buying the film rights to my book, then I need to figure something out.
Go buy the book, everybody.
Only 77p on Kindle as well. 77p Kindle. Woo!
There you go. Everybody can have a copy. Get Netflix to get themselves together. I can picture you in school, and acting is what we all knew you were going to do. Is
it was
that
the Ghost of Rock, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was the plan from secondary school.
Not really.
No?
Yes and no. Mr. Brown came up to me. I remember Mr. Brown came up to me once and said, "Can you?" No, he said. He said he wasn't a question. He said, "You can sing, can't you?" And I said, "Well, not really." He said, "You can act, can't you?" I said, "Well, I don't know." He said, "Well, I think you'd be perfect for this." And he started talking to me about this show that he'd created with Alan Jones. And sounds weird calling them by their first name.
It's weird,
Mike Brown and Alan Jones.
Who were both drama and Geography. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Jones was geography. Yeah. No, I was more interested in sport than I was acting or anything like that. And once the GCSEs had finished, I got into a very sporty school in Somerset called Millfield, where my brother had gone, and a girl called Kirsten Rose, who was in his year as well. They both went to Millfield. It was a boarding school in Somerset, and I got in there as well. So I went there because I played a lot of squash and football and athletics, and I did even more of that at Millfield, and I got very good at squash. We ended up winning the National Schools Championships for the 2 years I was there. Obviously all down to me. But no, I did do drama A-level, but that was just... because my GCSE results were so bad, because I didn't do any work. Massive regret of mine. I didn't work. I just didn't. I was more interested in trying to sort of make people laugh and play sport, which was stupid looking back. So my GCSEs weren't great, so I was very limited with the options I had for A-level. So drama was one. And I was hoping to go to Loughborough University, but I didn't get in. I got into Brighton University to study PE. And ironically, or no, coincidentally, my wife also would have been doing PE at Brighton University. She would have been the year below me.
That's really funny.
Had I gone, we would have met anyway. But I didn't go to Brighton. My drama teacher just said, "Look, have you thought of drama school?" No, not at all. Why would I? Don't really care. Which sounds really frivolous, but that's how I was as a youngster. I didn't really care. So I phoned a few drama schools, and this was March time, so it was towards the end of the year, and they'd all closed their audition process apart from one, and that was the Guildford School of Acting. And they said, we've got one audition day left. You're more than welcome to come to it. So my dad took me up there, and I auditioned. I prepared a couple of monologues, and I knew I'd got in because I ended up staying behind to talk to the principal. Everyone else had gone home at about 3 o'clock. I was still talking to him at 5 o'clock. So I knew I'd got in, even though they didn't officially tell me. So my dad, when I met him afterwards, I said, I've been talking to the principal. And he said, oh, well, you've obviously got in then. So, yeah, okay, maybe. And then sure enough, I did get in. So I ended up, spur of the moment, last minute, going to drama school in Guildford for 3 years.
And the gap between drama school and the bill, how long was that?
2 years, maybe. I did a few odd jobs, sort of corporate videos. I did one for Nokia, where FaceTime video calling was in the very, very early stages. I mean, this is 98, 99. Video calling was, a brand new thing, and I played Romeo. It was a Romeo and Juliet spoof, and I find Juliet, it was brilliant. The production values were amazing. I was in proper costume, ruffles and tunics and everything. It looked great. The lighting was spectacular. It looked like a proper film. It was brilliant. I've got footage somewhere. I have no idea where. Old VHS. I have to try and dig it out. But just as I see her dead, Juliet's committed suicide, and I'm just about to kill myself when my phone rings, and it's a video call of the priest or the friar saying, hey Romeo, Juliet's not actually dead, she's just taken a potion to appear so. I'm like, what? She's not dead? Amazing. And because of the video call telling me, I don't kill myself, and we end up happily ever after. Things like that. So I did a few jobs, and one for the army where I was the clean-cut soldier that didn't take drugs, and my best friend did take drugs. We had a weekend away on leave. He took his drugs. We then came back. We had to do a urine sample, drugs test, and he was panicking. That was good. That was my very first job. And then, a few other bits and pieces. And I changed agent. I was doing a kids' TV show that no one's ever heard of called Welcome to Orty Fu. Terrible. I don't think it was very good at all. Like 6 parts or something. And I was it was about a family, and the kids were about 14 or 15. And I was slightly older, playing 17 or 18. And I was a bit of a heartthrob figure at the school they went to, something like that. And I was talking to an actor there who was the lead dad. His name is Daniel Hill. He's done lots of things, Only Fools and Horses, and tons of stuff. He's always worked throughout his life and throughout his career. He said, "Who's your agent?" I told him. He said, "No, they're not good enough. You need to be with someone bigger." He picked up the phone, phoned his agent, and said, "I'm with a young actor here who's just starting out. He's a very handsome young man. He's very clever. You're going to love him. Meet him." But she agreed to meet me, and I met her in her offices up in the West End, and we chatted for about half an hour, and she said, I can remember it now, she said, "Well, I'm tempted to say, Ben, let's give this a go." And I said, "Well, why don't you say let's give it a go and see how it feels?" and so she laughed and said, "Let's give it a go." So I'm like, great. So I signed up with her, phoned my old agent and said, "I'm really sorry, but I've had an offer of representation from another agent, and I'd like to take it. In fact, I'm going to take it." And they were a bit annoyed with me because they felt that they'd worked really hard to get me into quite a strong position, which is fair enough. But there was it was like playing for Leeds United and Liverpool come calling.
Right, okay.
You just don't say no. That's exactly how it was. I couldn't say no. And within a month of signing on with this new agent, I'd landed a Specsavers commercial, Band of Brothers, tiny part in Bridget Jones's Diary, and then the bill came along.
Oh, I better go.
It's very blink and you miss. My agent had a phone call from the director, I think Sharon Maguire, who said, "I need someone tall, dark, and handsome who's about 20." And thankfully, so the people she thought of couldn't make it, so she came to me. And so I did it, and I was booked for a week, again about a week, and no lines, just a glorified extra. But I'm a bridegroom dancing with my bride in the field of in the grounds of a hotel where Renee Zellweger and Hugh Grant's characters are staying. And there was one other scene that ended up being cut. But that was that, so my CV slowly started being built up, and then the bill came calling, and ended up with a 2-year contract on that, all within about a month or so of signing with this new agent. So it was the right thing to do, So the other side of that is, about 6 months after I left the bill, I had lots of auditions for things like big things like The Bourne Identity, and even Pirates of the Caribbean for the part that eventually went to Orlando Bloom. I did a screen test for that. I mean, I was never going to get that because he was just off the back of Lord of the Rings. He was massive. Obviously, I would have been an awful lot better. But after 6 months or so of not getting any work, she said, "Well, sorry, Ben, I just don't know I can do any more for you." I was like, "Okay, what are you saying?" And she said, "Well, I'm not going to represent you anymore." I was like, "Ugh, all right, fine." I mean, it's brutal. It's totally cutthroat. So I had to find a new agent, which thankfully, because of the stuff I'd previously done, wasn't a problem. But then work only came in sporadically. It just wasn't enough, and I was losing interest in it. I did a Holby City back in 2006 and didn't enjoy the experience, and I just said to my wife, "I'm not enjoying this at all. I don't want to do it anymore." And she said, "Whatever you do, I'll support." So I called it a day, phoned my agent, said, "Nah, I'm done. I'm going to get a proper job." And that was it. And it was a massive weight off my shoulders, I have to say.
So now you get to write books.
I do. It would be nice if I got more money for that, but...
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ben.
Thank you for having me.
Anything else you would like to tell us that we haven't thought to tell you that you think my now 200 subscribers, as of this morning, 200 subscribers. I'm very excited. I know people have got thousands and thousands of subscribers, but I'm just delighted that there are 200 people who think I have something sensible to say.
Well, it's going to be 201. When we finish this call, it'll be 201 because I don't think I've subscribed, so I'm sorry about that. No, I would send people to Amazon to
I will put the link.
Buy a copy of this. Thank you. Yeah, it's £7. £7.50 on Amazon for the paperback. You can get a signed one via my website, benpeyton.co.uk. I will sign it and dedicate it. I think that's £10 because I have to include postage and packaging. Alternatively, for only 77 pence, the Kindle version. 77 pence. I mean, that's ridiculous.
How does that work?
I think I might even buy it.
Do you get like a stored up amount every month, or does every money count?
Yeah, every month they give you the royalties you earn. I think on the Kindle, it's quite good on the Kindle. I think maybe for every 77 pence sold, I get about 50p, something like that, which is quite good. Paperback isn't quite as good. £7.50, it might only be something like £1.50 maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to double check that. So yeah, and if you do read it and if you enjoy it, a review on Amazon and or Goodreads would be very much appreciated because they help up and coming authors like me more than people realise, I think. So it's always nice to I have a look. I'm on 47 at the moment on Amazon. It'd be great to get up to 50 soon, and it's even better when it's people I don't know.
Yeah, it's fab, isn't it? That's what I'm thinking. So yes, go buy Ben's book and tell all your friends.
Then before you know, I've taken over the world.
And Netflix come calling.
Netflix and J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. Right. Well, lovely to see you. Let's
you too, Tamsin. Thanks for this.
Pub at the same time as each other next time we're both in Cornwall. That would work, wouldn't it?
Definitely. I think send me a link to your YouTube channel.
I will.
If I can do it more than once, subscribe more than once, then I will.
Okay.
Get your numbers
thank you very much.
So if you suddenly see it go from 200 to 203,
it's like Ben, Ben, and Ben.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you're able to do that or not, and I might. I can't. I don't know. I'm not down with YouTube anymore. My son might have to help me out with that. So, but I will certainly subscribe with my account.
Yeah, that's what we have the children for, us to teach us things and look at us in disbelief that it's not a TikTok song. It's actually from 1972.
Yeah. Happy days.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was lovely to see you.
And you. And we'll try and be in the same place physically next time. And
definitely, that'd be good.
Wave your book around a bit more. Lovely.
Yay.
Cool. Thank you very much.
All right, Tamsin.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.